here at Hard Lens Media want to give a full salute to the people of the Philippines. I have to say, I hope someday I can have the privilege of visiting your beautiful country because of the standard that all of you have just set. Now, for many of you, you have asked me, why have I talked about this Vitali guy? Well, first of all, Vitali, he used to be a big YouTuber back in the day until, well, I guess the fake prank videos were no longer entertaining for what they were. The guy had a massive crash out. And apparently he was on some sort of substance a long time ago to where he physically assaulted a woman jogging. Okay. This guy eventually found himself $140,000 in legal debts. Later on, a kick streamer who he made friends with was able to pay off his debts for him, which is okay, fine, great. Hey, there's good people in the world. But when he began re-entering into the world of live streaming, he was doing this weird vigilante justice in which he was trying to expose scumbag people messing with underage people. Okay. So everyone get the heavy wood chipper. But the way Vitali was doing it, he was embarrassing these people doing vigilante justice, but no arrests were made, which is odd and very concerning to me because I think a lot of us can universally agree, hey, if you're going to stop people, confronting real scumbag people who deserve the wood chipper, shouldn't they the authorities be like, you're under arrest? And eventually that fell out, and Vitali decided to be a Johnny Somali-like clone, which is a dumb move altogether. And sadly, there's a lot of these clones of Johnny Somali. They are YouTubers, Twitch streamers, and yes, they're even on Kick. But Vitali decided to mess around the Philippines, and the people of the Philippines, hey, I hope someday have the privilege of visiting you guys, decided to step down on him. So how cooked is he? Well, Vitali is beyond cooked. He is looking not only at being served behind bars, but he's also going to be going through the service process that could take 2 to 3 years. And then he's charged for, I believe, around 4 to 5 different cases. So that guy's going to be in a Philippine prison or jail for a good portion of his time. So let's go ahead and talk about. First of all, this was commentary by local Philippine news in regards towards the files or 5 cases. Correction, 5 cases. I said 4 to 5. There's actually 5 cases that have been filed against Russian vlogger. So he's not a U.S. I believe he's a card holder here in the USA, but he is not a U.S. citizen. So just to throw that out there. So I don't think Trump or Putin are. Can you imagine relying on Trump or Putin? Trump, Putin, help! Nah, they ain't coming, honey child. They ain't coming. So let's talk about this. Now, again, I want to be clear. Some of this will be in English. Some of this will be in also Philippine language as well. I believe it's called Tagalese. I believe. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But I just got to say, this guy right here, pay close attention to the gentleman right there, because this is the dude who went all out against Vitali.
Okay, now the Russian vlogger, what is the plan for the Russian vlogger who was apparently, as reporters have written, smug even after his arrest? Right? So pag-usapan natin itong Russian vlogger na ito, baka gimmick po, alam mo kasi sa...
Thank you, Dr. Nick. Tagalog. Thank you very much. Thank you. I apologize for the mispronunciation.
YouTube, it's quite unpleasant, but maraming vloggers who do that for show, right?
For clout.
For clout, for show. What did he violate?
Now, here's the thing. A lot of lawmakers here in the USA are internet illiterate. I even had one person say, hey, look, can you explain the internet? Can you explain what you do? And that's fine. That's perfectly fine. Because if somebody doesn't know, they don't know. But you want to know what's really dangerous? When you have a lawmaker that does know, that's aware. Oh.
Because clearly he's been doing this all over different areas already, maybe different countries.
Well, there was vandalism. There was unjust vexation. There was burglary. There was video camming someone without their consent.
Yeah.
and a host of other things. There was theft. He stole an electric fan from a restaurant and tried to make a show of it. He stole a motorcycle from a patrolman of BGC and tried to ride it around BGC. He had unjust vexation towards a trainer of a surfboard trainer in Boracay and started making a fool of himself. He has I think 30 videos in the Philippines, all that making a fool of Filipinos.
Oh, wow. Okay, 30 videos. And lumabas sa video, nung binabasahan siya ng Miranda rights, nagkikiss pa siya, nagfa-flying kiss. So clearly, it's for his YouTube, no? To get more views. But
That's
what
right.
happens to him now?
Kasi
Is-
nangyayari dati, tuwing ginaganyan siya sa ibang bansa,
Now, here's the thing. It will switch back and forth between English and again, and shout out to my whole audience. You guys and gals are very, very correct. Tagalog. So it's going to go back and forth between that. But I want to play in its full entirety. Number one, to respect the local news source. But also, I think by the hand gestures and everything else, I think I could fairly estimate and pronouncedly correct. And I think universally everyone would agree with me, no matter what part of the world you're in. The gentleman here is saying, Homie Vitali is 1,000,000% cooked. Okay, that's the gist of it. Because people were asking, well, what's going to happen to Vitali? Is he going to get a caning? Oh no. Just wait. Watch the whole video, my lovelies. And to the people of the Philippines, I love all of you. You don't you ever change.
i-deport lang siya.
Oo.
I-deport siya, so tapos na. So, mission done. Bye-bye Philippines. Kala niya ganun na lang.
Hold on. I'm going to rewind only once, but just the way he just did that was beautiful.
Tuwing ginaganyan siya sa ibang bansa, i-deport lang siya.
Oo.
I-deport siya, so tapos na. So, mission done. Bye-bye Philippines. Kala niya ganun na lang. Eh, siyempre, hindi kami pumayag. Pwede ba namang babay na lang? Ganun na lang? Ginagawa mo mga Pilipino, tas ganun na lang?
Oo.
So, napag-desisyon na namin, kakasuhan namin.
Tama. So pwede ba siyang makulong? Sa mga pinagagawa niya, makulong?
Opo. His cases now, I think there are 5 cases filed. All of them.
And they're not going to deport him. No, everyone throw it out the window. I have a video that's going to explain it, and I will not pause in that video. I'm going to stop pausing here, but let's continue on.
Are available. However, upon rules of the Bureau of Immigration, if he is an undesirable alien, the Bureau of Immigration has a right to detain him in the process of his hearing.
So pwede siyang magdusa sa kulungan. Hindi siya makaka-vlog. Diba? Wala
Yes,
siyang ilalabas. Di na niya yan uulitin.
He has no access to a cell phone. He has an access only to a cell phone to contact family or attorney. He is not allowed to vlog about anything which goes on inside the detention facility. He will live on the national stipend of 3 meals at 70 pesos a day. That's for all 3 meals.
Oh, God.
He will get special treatment. He will live in a common cell, walang air conditioner. Basta kulong siya habang nag-hearing siya. And I think...
Listen, man. To US dollars, I mean, that's like pennies, man. And, Vitali, he's kind of... I'm not going to say he's jacked, but, I do question his build, okay? In my opinion, I question his physical build. But with the lack of protein, he's going to be shrinking.
I think that hearing the civil trial, I don't know, it's civil criminal, maybe it's criminal, it will maybe last 2 to 3 years.
Oh.
Then the minimum charge, I think, will be 5 years per guilty verdict.
So pwede siyang nakadetain ng 2 to 3 years.
For the hearing pa lang yan.
Oo, hearing pa lang yun. Pero so it means it's clear he will not be deported just like that.
Oh no, hindi talagang we made a conscious decision not to have him deported. Pagkatapos ng pagkatuwaan, niloloko mo na Pilipino, pinagkakatuwaan mo pa Pilipino, pinapahiya mo Pilipino, pinagkakitaan mo pa Pilipino. Tapos babay na lang? Walang ganoon, di ba? Fair is fair.
And not only that, he may just move to another Asian country and do the same thing, right?
That's right. And why is this important? So who is Vitali? Somebody asked right now in the live stream chat. Used to be a big time YouTuber, had a huge crash out, tried to come back, had a second crash out, and decided to be a scumbag nuisance streamer. Now these nuisance streamers have been making the rest of us look pretty bad, harassing people. And listen, some of these other people who are far more vile than Johnny are actually hurting, a lot of people. And they need to be confronted. And I'm urging, look, I'm all for free speech and everything, but here's where here's where old Kit Kat wants to bring out the Warhammer, aka the ban hammer, and that is when you start harassing people, physically assaulting people, disrupting businesses, attacking the elderly, disrupting the elderly, doing all sorts of things inappropriate in front of everyone of every age. Remember, I say that every age. Then Kick, Twitch, YouTube. These are the kind of people you want to, remove off your platforms, okay? Because they're very bad, they're very evil, and you know what? They're going to do it in another country and another country, and the Philippines are going to be the ones to step up. Then I say, all right, people, the Philippines, step up. And just so you know, don't feel any sympathy for a guy like Vitali, all right? He did this. He decided to mess around in a country that's not his backyard and screw around.
Yung limang acts,
And he makes a sticking tongue face.
yung limang acts na chinarge siya ay ipafile sa Taguig, di ba? Sa Taguig? Substation? Ipafile na. At habang doon siya ay under custody siya ng Bureau of Immigration as an undesirable alien. Ngayon, mag-uusap pa ang Bureau of Immigration at CIDG ukol sa proseso nito. Pero sa akin paningin, at ito'y akin lamang, hindi ito'y batas sinasabi ko, ay doon muna siya mananatili sa Bureau of Immigration Detention Facility sa Muntinlupa habang siya ay nag-iintay ng paglitis sa kanya rito. Hindi po namin siya i-deport. Mananagot siya sa batas dito sa Pilipinas. Tapos na po ang mga dayuhan, nakala na lang, kaya na lang napastangin ang mga Pilipino. Ito'y ehemplo na seryoso tayo na sa sariling bayan natin. Hindi tayo magpapabasa sa kanila.
Good.
Okay.
And by the way, there's another video where this guy just looks back at Vitali. And it's one of those things that if you remember in high school or anywhere else, where you have that principal looking or that one person, like, who's in charge, and there's that one student causing all sorts of trouble, and they look back like, man, if you don't quit, I'm going to knock your teeth in. So let's go ahead and talk about what consequences are coming down the way for a guy like Vitali, okay? And the thing is, it's going to be pretty bad. People are saying, well, will he face caning? Will he face something of that nature? No. What he's going to be facing off against is something far, far worse. And I recommend everyone check out Legal Mindset because this is what's going to happen to him. And I don't envy him, not one little bit. I have to say, Vitali, you messed around with the Philippine people, and the Philippine people said, okay, game on, homie.
All right, so let's get to Vitali. So first, let's cover some notes. There was a Filipino lawyer who wrote back some answers. You guys asked some questions in the chat, and he had some answers for you guys because many of you asked questions. So as a Filipino lawyer, he wanted to help me answer these. So I'm going to answer some questions that you guys had in PowerPoint format, of course, in classic Legal Mindset PowerPoint format. Okay, first of all, he wanted me to say, because many of you ask about caning, unfortunately, guys, there is no caning in the Philippines. But according to a Filipino lawyer, he said that he would rather be caned than go to a Filipino prison. He literally said, I would rather be caned than go to a Filipino prison. So that kind of tells you, and I'm going to show you the Filipino prisons. And if after what I showed you today, you would not prefer the caning, but I think the Filipino prison is pretty rough. We're going to talk about that.
Now, I won't be able to show that because just in case, because I know he showed it on his channel. I don't want to do that because that's a documentary video, and obviously you don't want to get flagged or anything like that nature. But what's important, very important, is that here's how I could describe it to you: when the married gentlemen in the Filipino prison go to sleep, nobody laugh and nobody start writing this in the comment section. When they go to sleep, it's nut to butt. Hey, we're starting off this show on a high note. We got some low notes, we got some high notes, we got some happy notes, but not the butt. Where'd you learn to talk like this? I learned this from Hard Lens Media.
Also, review bombing. So apparently the big thing for the crime and convicting people for review bombing is it really matters if there were fake reviews posted. So if anybody actually posted a fake review as a result of Vitali prompting them, then that would be a crime in the Philippines. So it really would turn on other reviews that were posted that were fake. Now, this is an interesting one because both Atozi and I want to attend the trials and the hearings. So apparently, if we go to the trial, we may need special permission. I am trying to get into contact with people that could get me permission to go to the trial. So I am going to try to get permission to go. I think but based on what my conversation with a lawyer, he said you might need a special permit, and I will try to go. The other thing is, and this is the next bullet point, is that according to recent Philippine law, I have to be very, very, very neutral when I cover the trial. And that's because of law regarding impartiality of the court. So I have to be extremely neutral. So if I cover the proceedings, I have to just pretty much say, this is what happened. And I essentially will not be able to comment on what happened inside the court. I may be able to comment on what happened outside the court, but in terms of what happened inside the court, I will have to be super neutral, right? So I will not.
I want to pause here. All read you right. Sounds like it couldn't happen to a better guy. Glad Vitali, viral is not American. He is again not. Obviously he's a card holder here, so he wasn't born in the United States. He's from Russia. Again, big time YouTuber back in the day when YouTube prank videos used to be something. But he screwed around the Philippines, and he was we got a couple of videos of him acting like a full-on jackass and harassing people. And I can imagine if that was your sister, your aunt, your grandma, your mother, your brother, imagine just working a job and you got some ignorant person, especially from another country, just harassing, throwing around your merchandise or stalking you or saying they're going to hurt you. I mean, no, absolutely not. This is absolutely wrong. And I am not a person that just does a knee-jerk reaction to it. But after a while, after what Johnny Somali has done, you have a lot of people who are clout chasing just to build a name for themselves. And there's a lot of sick people that will watch this, or in turn, sick people that want to watch these clout chasers get hurt. And it's a cycle of violence. It's a cycle of abuse that YouTube and Twitch and Kick need to clamp down on, because these nuisance streamers should not be a category, should not be a genre, and do not deserve the privilege of actually having a social media platform. Doing something like this or any other type of genre online is a privilege to do, and it should be used for good. I mean, that's my opinion. I believe it should be used for good, not evil or harassment. And so if the Philippines are going to be the first country to step up to this, good.
Not be able to give an opinion on like, oh, he did this and looked stupid or whatever. I was to be like, he did this, he did this, he did this. That's what happened, right? So that's apparently the case law, right? So I would have to be kind of careful on that one. Also, one of you mentioned, or somebody in the chat mentioned, that the cameraman who is Sly Kane, Christopher P. Dantes, Sly Kane, somebody said he can be tried for treason under Article 114. The lawyer corrected that treason is a war crime, so he cannot be convicted of treason. It's not war crime. Now it can be an accessory, but he can't be treated for treason. So he can be an accessory to Vitali's crimes. So for all of Vitali's crimes that he was there for, he can be an accessory. For example, harassment, threatening to rob the woman, harassing the security guards. He can be an accessory to those crimes, but treason is a no-go. That's not going to happen under Article 114. The last thing that he mentioned is in the Philippines, with the penal code, we talked about the special penal code, the SPC, and the revised penal code, the RPC, the different kind of penal approaches. And what he said is there's not two codes. There's really only like a giant mix of codes, and the law loosely applies them from different areas. So essentially, the law can like pick and choose which.
Now, I want to pause here for a second because I mentioned the video where Vitali is applauding his own clownish behavior. Okay. And I just don't feel sorry for people like this. They do this to harass people. He applauds. He applauds. Right there. Right there. For those of you, you know, or let's say when you were younger and you might have screwed up and you got that relative that looked back to you like, boy, what's wrong with you? Right there. Damn. And man, being paraded like a clown. Being paraded like a clown like he should be.
Which code to use. So it's not like you choose we're going to only choose the RPC and not the SPC. They can choose both. So or they can choose all. So the answer can be all of the above. And actually in that way, because the legal code is kind of mixed, they can choose the harshest laws to use for Vitali, which I think is a good thing. I think having a mixed law system actually is better. So I'm actually happy from a legal sense, like a prosecutorial sense. I'm actually happy that their code is mixed. They don't have to pick mode A or mode B. They can just use whatever law they want to prosecute them, which actually is great. I actually love that. All right. So we're going to start here.
Now, I want to pause here because, again, this is what's going to be, he's going to be showing a little bit of what's happening in the prison. Because to be safe here, look, you guys can look it online and check out Legal Mindset's full videos. He does great work, 10 out of 10. I have to say he's been one of the dauntless few, just like a Tozy and a few others who are calling out these nuisance streamers. But I also want to pull up this article here as well. So, again, for those of you who don't know, he's one of these big time influencers from back in the day who used to do all this kind of crazy, outrageous stunts. So who is Vitali? Well, born in Russia, he later dropped his name and now holds Russian-American citizenship. He gained notoriety in 2012 with a video in which he scared strangers in Miami posing as a homeless man, many of whom were black, leading to accusations of racism. While his channel initially soared in popularity, views declined in later years, prompting him to pull increasingly audacious stunts. Here's how the YouTube business works. You know, YouTube back in the day was the Wild West. I mean, there were certain niches and people that could get away with so much. And prank videos, while they were funny, eventually were turned out to be stage events, and the views declined. And what happens when somebody no longer gets all the figgy pudding that they're used to, not getting 80 million views on a video? Oh, they get desperate and panic. So, for example, he did like pitch invasions at major football events, or such as doing the 2014 FIFA World Cup and 2019 Champions League final, and a controversial live stream to inspire To Catch a Predator, which ultimately led to a lawsuit by Hollywood screenwriter C.J. Cox. He was eventually banned from all stadiums worldwide following multiple disruptions at global sporting events, including the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. You heard that right, Qatar. Listen, there are places you don't mess around. Qatar doesn't look like a place to mess around with. The United Arab Emirates is a place you don't want to mess around with, okay? Because I have heard my fair share of horror stories of what happens when foreigners, not just Americans, but foreigners in general, decide to take a dump in someone else's backyard and think nothing's going to happen to them. Some of these stories are very scary where it's like, oh, well, that's going to haunt me for a little bit. Time to move on.org. What sparked the outrage though in the Philippines? So, in the latest string of incidents, Vitali filmed a series of clips in the Philippines that have been widely condemned as offensive and aggressive. In one incident, he repeatedly demanded attention from a woman, eventually threatening, "I'm going to effing rob you if you keep walking away." When she refused his money, he shouted, "Okay, because you got a COVID mask on, you liberal F." Later, at a shopping mall, he confronted a security guard, snatched his hat, and ran. When a woman intervened, he told her to shut the F up. He also harassed another guard by singing paparazzi while filming in his face. Perhaps the most egregious moment came when after he was asked as a police officer if he could shove a banana up his wazoo. There we go. Before hopping onto the officer's motorbike, urging him to give chase, while clearly aimed at provoking a reaction, the stunt was deemed deeply disrespectful and culturally insensitive. So the Department of Interior and local government, the DILG, has declared Vitali an undesirable alien. Putin and Trump ain't gonna come help this boy. You know what's gonna happen? Here. Just for some, I've been noticing. I got a couple of messages from people from the Philippines. Shout out to the people of the Philippines. I got a couple of. Here's what I see happening. Ring, 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 ring. Hello, I'm the president of the Philippines. This is probably not how he sounds. This is Putin. Lock up Vitaly. Ring, 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 ring. Hello, this is the president of the Philippines. Yes, this is Donald Trump. Keep that Vitaly guy locked up. He's not good. Not good at all. That's what I see happening. Ain't nobody going to help homie. He's done. He's done. And now authorities are also looking for the cameraman. And the cameraman, which I find absolutely shocking and appalling, he's from the Philippines. Born and raised there. And you're going to allow some scumbag to disrespect your country like that? Man, I'd keep your head on a swivel, my friend. And again, he's had a history of doing offensive stunts. Vitali, for example, in one of the most famous escapades, climbed the Pyramid of Giza. Why would you do that? Wearing a hoodie with the message, "Stop war, help Australia." That's not going to help stop war or stop the bushfires in 2020. Egyptian officials promptly arrested him. Why they let him go is a miracle. His pitch invasions also drawn widespread criticism. In 2014, he erupted a World Cup match with a natural-born prankster painted across his chest. So this guy does this all the time. So this is a wake-up call. So Vitali, again, having 10 million YouTube subscribers and 1.5 billion views, you could have rode off in the sunset, you stupid bastard. Vitali has built an empire of provocation. However, his recent actions raise serious questions about the role of platforms like YouTube, Kick, and Twitch in moderating harmful content. By consistently rewarding shock value and harmful pranks with visibility and profit, these platforms may be incentivizing unethical and even illegal behavior. Yes, YouTube, Kick, Twitch, stop these people. As public outcry continues, the question remains, should such antics be given a stage? No. Or is it time the industry took more responsibility? And here's the problem, because if they start cracking down, will that also impact other content creators? But, I mean, after a while, what's happening on these platforms, I mean, come on, YouTube, come on, Kick, come on, Twitch, stop these bastards. Stand up and stop them. So, what's the final conclusion from this? Rest easy in knowing that you're not Vitali and that you are not going to be spending a considerable amount of your life. He's 34 years old. His life behind bars in the Philippines. I better see in the comments section, nut to butt, LOL.